So we have to really think about how do we remove organics from the waste stream, and composting is the simplest and easiest way to do it.
Cameron Bond is the Solid Waste Management Coordinator for the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen, and he loves recycling, in this case compost, which is the gardener's recycle bin. Today, he's at the Salvation Army Community Garden in Penticton to give the volunteers some pointers. And what he's found is a good example of a bad example. Dirt, grass, and everything just thrown in a heap in the hope that it is breaking down, but it's not.
You can see here, you've kind of got some things why I don't like composting with grass. You've got this disgusting layer right here where the moisture's set up. Moisture's been trapped inside there. Just below here is dry as a bone. So just within like basically a centimeter or even less than a centimeter, you go from incredibly wet, compacted, this will soon be stinky if it doesn't dry out soon because it has no air spaces in there and it's gonna get kind of gross and stinky, to dry as a bone, which isn't composting at all. So if you're gonna add grass to your compost bin, mix it in with other materials so there's pockets of air. Life exists on the edges in a compost pile, so you need a matrix of different materials in there. That's why I always tell people to add in your corn cobs, your sunflower stalks, your corn stalks, your avocado pits, your avocado shells. These things can take decades to break down, but they're adding in a matrix of materials inside your compost bin that allow for life to happen. So you can see on the outside there's actually quite wet grass because of all the rains we've had, but on the inside you start to see that it's really not that moist at all.
No,
and so,
it's not.
And so for a real active compost bin, there won't be any soil in here. And by adding soil, they've really slowed it down, and you can feel there's no heat coming off here. So in a proper
I see all the dirt.
you can start to feel some warmth a little bit in pockets. And where you find the pockets of where air and water meet, that's where you see the composting process.
Right.
And this is the stuff that makes beautiful compost.
Right.
Because when you turn a compost pile with this stuff in, it's quite light because there's lots of air and the water is kind of on the edges instead of built up into big pools. So this material is really what you want to start composting with.
It's learning the difference between potting soil and manure and your compost at the end of the year, laying it on your flowers, seeing what changes happen with what different mix you use. Yeah, it's great.
But if you think about a compost pile as a living organism, it needs food, proper balanced food, it needs water, and it needs air, just like us.
I learned so much. I've been throwing horse manure on everything without really giving it a thought of, what kind of microbes are growing, what kind of wormer I'm putting into the horses that's going into the soil and affecting the worms. And yeah, I learned a lot. It was very exciting.
And then we'll be able to separate out the soil from the grass. We'll put the grass mixed in with leaves, and we'll make a beautiful compost pile for next year.